So just to continue on, just saying the cross-referencing between the manual and this is poor in some parts, and I'm just going to look at where else the BER begins to slot in here. The other part is energy costs, and actually there's a separate cost calculator um, that we use, if I can find the maximize. So this is, yeah, again based on BER values. So the first thing you put in is the area of the dwelling, again read from the BER, the type of heating. So I think we're in here now, are we? No, this next one I think is not space heating demand. The main space heating fuel. Here we go. The main space that's delivered. So we've got 2922 for the main space heating system. These are all out of the BER. So the main space heating fuel, I think, is HPI heat pump 29. So was it 2977? And 2922. And then the water heating system is 2673. I have no memory. 2922 2673. 2922 2673. I'm leaving that 0 because there is no secondary heating. There's no supplementary or secondary. It's just quite interesting to note that the water heating is almost as much as the space heating. It's kind of a little bit crazy. So let's say it's electricity day only. You can see the costs begin to come up there. Then the next bit to put in is the electricity consumption, the fixed, and again that is read from there. If we look at the pump and fans and the energy for lighting and add those together, we get 409. And this came up then, this fixed amount came up when we were discussing the indicators in general. So with the Tipperary Energy Agency, this value has been fixed. Judging from some of the conversations on currents this week, that might be disputed, or you mightn't agree with how the breakdown of this is derived. But it's fixed and it's there, and you just work with what's there and maybe take it up with the Green Building Council if you disagree. What else? Then you're looking at the amount of PV. Now on the deep, I don't think it shows this particular one. It doesn't give you the breakdown, which sometimes it does give you the detail. It just gives you the total. So this could be and hopefully you in your own projects will know this information whether you have it or not. So this could be, let's say, 5 modules of 280 watt, for example, and 5 by 280 is 1400. So this is only done you only input this in blocks of 0.25 kilowatts. So 0.25 or 1400 is 1.4, so you could round it up by 1.5, or if it could be 5 of 0.25, which would be 1.25 in there. So you'll hopefully have more detail because the deep in this, the BER in this case, doesn't go into the specifics, so you kind of need to do a bit of a guesstimate there, but that's okay at this level. As I said, we're doing kind of high level stuff. So then we don't have any battery storage, so the energy cost is 1293, and if this is a 3-bed house, we are just at quality level 1 there, and that's where you would go back to here. Quality level 1 is 2 points, so you put in 2 there and copy it across for or whatever units that also applies to. This cost calculator is also handy just to really immediately see the effect of using different types of fuel, and the actual how that translates into a cost metric. So it's quite nifty, and it's very simple. It's only 3 or 4 things that you need to input, which we always like because it's very clear and easy to use, I think. Not sure how this is done, or how they derive this breakdown, but I suppose it is at least done in conjunction with the Energy Agency. Oh, here they are down here, who are very reputable and would know what they're about. So I'm not going to save that. The other part then is the net space heating demand, which we've discussed before, comes from the this value here that needs to then be converted. So we've got the heat use for the heating season that is again very blurry, but it's okay, 2762.93. So 2763 was it roughly? We'll do approximates divided by the floor area of the dwelling, and we get roughly 26. So 26 is going to give us about, is we actually just miss this one, so we have to go with the next one down, which is going to give us 2 points for that, and you put it in and on you go. The other place, I'm just checking my notes here, make sure I haven't forgotten anything. No. So the other place where you would need to go is in the quality part in terms of stuff that the BER looks at. Thermal, the thermal bridging aspect. Oh, I just wanted to make one more point actually. I remember with that, and this is kind of a tangential point with the PV and the cost calculator that we just had. I suppose just a general point on what's being done in terms of renewables, and it sounds like a lot of you have a lot more experience even than me in this, but I suppose we're finding that people, just to meet compliance, are kind of going down the heat pump road in units, especially in local authority housing. And I would kind of, I don't know, in my mind, heat pumps aren't really, it's kind of fuzzy renewable. I mean, it's classified as renewable, but it's really only renewable when, as it's producing what it needs in its efficiencies, I suppose. It's not giving anything back to the grid, for example, or there's no capacity to do that. Or to store and to use for other purposes. So it's just a shame that the potential for to be putting in kind of PV, and for PV to be on every roof of every new housing development is there. I mean, the scaffolding is there at the time, the roofers are there at the time, the roof is there at the time it's being constructed. So it really would be the optimal time to do it, to incorporate it, but it's not really being done, I suppose, because there is more of a compliance road with, well, how can we meet the regulation, well, and not really a viewpoint on, oh, well, what's actually the most effective or efficient thing to do. It's kind of a tangential point, but it'd be interesting to know your own experiences on that too. And the other thing to note about that cost calculator is that you if you had combined heat and power, if you had any CHP units, there's no real way as such, no clear cut way to incorporate that. And that's just because the HPI is in its infancy. It hasn't come across, I suppose, CHP yet. It probably will in the near future because it's being put into a lot of apartment developments, as far as I understand, being coupled with exhaust air heat pumps, especially in those An Bord Pleanála strategic housing development, 100 plus developments. So when they come across it, they'll find a way to, or they'll have to update that spreadsheet or incorporate it. But until then, you would need to start a dialogue with them, and align it very much with what's coming out of the BER cert, because it would be assessed it through the BER, but how you would put it into a spreadsheet or how you would assess that, you'd have to work with them to figure out a workaround. And I suppose the bad thing is it's in its infancy, but the good thing is it's in its infancy, which means you can have those kinds of dialogues directly with them, and they want to iron that stuff out and incorporate it into the next version, the new version. So that's just a tangential point there. So then the thermal bridging factor, I mean, they'll want to see the evidence of this. If you go back to the manual, there will be particular evidence that's required. Here we go. But again, this is read off the BER, so in this case it's 0.0174. I think this is one of those instances where they link up with the manual. Just let me get it up. I think I have the right page up. You need to go to the manual. So we've got 1.0174. So whatever way, I suppose it's an apartment. So, or if it's a unit, either way, it would fall under. You're looking at kind of level 3 there, and the same with the exposed elements. Sorry, this is after crashing. Parts there. As you can see that it would be a level 3, so you'd need to put in 6 points, and in this case you can put it in here and it will, let's just change it for now so you'll see it. Yeah, it populates all the way across, which is really handy, and be good if we could do that for all of them. And then the air infiltration again comes from the BER cert, the value there, so you read that off. It's a result. Adjusted result is the air changes per hour, the 0.15. So that's 0.15. It's less than, it's just kind of meeting the minimum requirement, so you would get no additional points there. You'd put it in, there you go. I think that's, oh, and then just to note that you'd need the blower door tests and the number of tests, etc., the actual physical evidence that of those readings, but this is where you input the spreadsheet. That's kind of all of the places where the BER comes into play for specific units, and the other stuff is kind of more site-wide information.